All right, we on? We on? Microphone check 1 2 1 2. We in there? Y'all here?
Yeah, we're good. It says
Yep.
Cool.
hi.
There.
Cool. All right, man. So the time has come. Welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Everybody that's still coming in. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for caring. Just like us. Just like us. We want our culture to be a place where we can go back to having fun. And Tay, I think you're typing. Are you typing?
Am I? No.
No, nobody's typing, but I hear
It
that noise.
suspiciously
It's like a
stops when you
clicking.
call her
All right.
out.
It stops when you
Okay, maybe it's my phone.
No,
Okay.
it doesn't look like she's typing, but I hear it.
Yeah, I
It's
hear
when somebody talks.
clickety clack. It sounds like clickety clack. Do you have it on like two different
I
screens or
hear it.
something? Or?
No, I don't.
I don't.
Okay, I have no clue where this is coming from.
But I can't
Let me
hear
see.
Word talking though.
You can't hear her
Oh, you
talk?
can't hear me?
No.
Okay, so how
I'm gonna go
about
out, come
this?
back in.
Well, we can hear you though. So you come. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Tay?
Yeah,
Tay?
I can hear
You
fine.
can. Okay. Can you hear everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. All right. So word is gonna come back in because I think we had a little bit of, and I still hear tap. Do you still have it?
Hear what?
Tickety text. It sounds like tickety text.
I
Anyway,
hear that too.
listen.
Here's
Hey
fine.
y'all. Hey. How's everybody? What's going on? What's going on? Y'all still coming in? Good. Good. All right. So we got folks still coming in, of course. As you see, this is about acceptance, inclusion, and respect, and who has it. Now, whoever in the chat can tell me if you can hear that clickety clack.
Yeah, I hear it still. Was it still there when I left?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like my headset or something. But maybe everybody has to mute themselves one at a time to see if you still hear it. Let's see.
It's when somebody talks.
Can you guys hear clickety clack?
Yeah, when
Still?
you talk.
Yeah, I mean, I hear
It
it
might be
still.
your
Yeah.
headset.
Because I muted myself.
Okay.
No, it's
Let me mute myself.
whatever. Let's roll with it.
I don't. Is it Q's mic?
Let me see. Let me see if I take my
I
head.
muted mine and it's still doing
I'm gonna
that.
take my headset out and see if it'll stop. Okay. Do we still hear it?
Yeah, it's
Mine.
Nope.
up.
Yeah.
Nah, it's up.
It did stop.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, I
nope.
didn't hear it. Yeah, I think
I
it's
hear
Q's mic.
something.
Okay. So maybe that's what it was. Or not. Okay, anyway. So we're here. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some wrenches out here. Because I don't go live, but I wanna make sure I still hear it.
Yeah, it started
It's when,
back up
whenever
again.
That's
somebody
weird
talks.
too.
Can you hear it when I talk?
Okay, I think it's gone.
Nope.
Or not. All right, let me get some wrenches down here. All right, so I just want to lay out some ground rules really quick. We want to make sure that we have this conversation and actually have a discussion. And so that would mean that we need to make sure that we are being respectful and being understanding, hearing each other out, listening, not listening to respond, listening to understand. Okay. So that's the main thing in terms of my thoughts. Word, do you have anything?
Yeah, just basically that. Everybody's opinion is their own. Don't try to lump everyone's opinion in with each other. Everybody has different views, so we're just here to be understanding and respectful.
Right.
Cool.
Amen.
And so with that, these wrenches that I'm handing out, This is so that we can make sure. This is so we can make sure that if somebody decides they want to be out of pocket, we then will decide that they will be out of the stream. Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay, so first off, we want to talk about the latest. I think I gave out enough answers for now, so I'm going to take one of these tabs out. Okay. I don't like this tickety tag. Could you find me? I wonder, is it me? Is it me?
I think it might be you, Q.
I think it's when anybody talks. No, does it happen when I talk?
No.
No.
No, when people talk, it stops, which is the weird thing.
Let me see. All right, so the most recent situation, it has to be me. Yeah, I think it's me. So I'm gonna take this mic out really quick. Hello.
Yep.
Yeah, I took the mic out and it's still. Okay. That's funny. Okay. Why is it doing this? All right, so while I figure out my side, let me just get the conversation going. Okay. So we know the complex versus diversity component was a part of our speaking points. So let's just go ahead and start there. For those who are not in the know, I want to go ahead and give you some background. So Word and Tay, you want to go ahead and give us some background on that, and I can figure it out.
Okay.
Right.
Where do you want to go?
So as far as I am to understand or know, because I think Danny saw it first and she brought it to me and we were discussing it. I believe there was a post on Complex where they had several women posted up, I guess doing this, was it the sneaker challenge or whatever, with the sneakers on their head. And I think it started with some comment about not seeing any men represented on Complex, like aside from, celebrities. And from there, it then went into someone saying something about seeing more African American women represented on the page. And it wasn't to jab at any of the women, from what I interpreted. It wasn't to jab at any of the women in the pictures, but just to say like there's not enough diversity on Complex. So it was really directed at Complex. So one of the females decided to comment back with a comment about next time using blackface when she posts or something like that. And from there, I mean, clearly that was just taken, however people wanted to take it, was just taken as a bad racial comment. And people started basically blasting her. So I believe that's where it started. I don't know if you saw anything else, Tay.
It started with that comment. The guy basically said, hey, like, I
Can
don't want to
You
be
can hear me,
that.
Tay?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Can everybody hear me?
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, it basically said.
So I mean, that's what I saw as far as all of that, and then from there, it just led to everybody obviously having their opinions about the situation. And see, I can't hear Tay.
You can't hear me?
Can you guys hear her?
I can hear her.
I can hear her.
No,
I can hear you, Word.
Let me drop out.
Okay, she's gone.
But again, basically, like she said, it was a comment on the post. The guy was basically like, I don't want to be this dude, but where the black women at, basically. And she was like, well, next time I'll wear black makeup to make you happy. So
Okay, and with that, I want to see if I can go ahead, because I think I emailed a screenshot of it to myself. I want to try to share my screen real quick so y'all have an idea what's going on. So I think I finally got rid of the sound. It was Kevin's phone.
I still can't hear Tay.
Because if you notice, I I put him on mute.
Word, you still
And
can't hear me?
when I unmute him,
Yeah,
the TikTok.
Oh, okay, here
My
now.
loud ass voice. I see how it is.
Yeah. So it's your phone, Kev. So
I don't hear Q.
You don't hear me
It
now?
is all right. So I'm gonna log out and come back.
Okay. All right. So I'm about to find the email really quickly so I can show you guys. Okay.
No, see, I had a joke, but I don't want to be too insensitive, so I'm gonna leave it.
Oh, ain't no porn up. I've grown out of those days.
No, I was gonna say leave it to the white man to disrupt the conversation, but no, go ahead.
You play too much. Okay. So let me do. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, there you go.
There it is.
Boom.
Yep.
So for anybody who's not in the know, this is what all of the hoopla and the uproar has been about. Okay. So based off of what the two ladies told you already, you know, basically, I guess the original message was, where were the black ladies? Somebody asked, where were the black ladies? Because Complex seemed to have been putting a spotlight on, would you say just all fair skins, or would you say just people that weren't black?
Just people who, I mean,
They got
I
a
just don't feel
certain
like I
type
see a
of
lot
people.
yeah, I just don't see us, you know, up there. I just don't see it often. I don't come across it often. And to know that, you know, black women actually did the challenge and they didn't take the time to actually just look through the hashtag and at least include one or two. I've already seen two that have already done it. So I don't understand.
Right. And so I wanted to go ahead and show you guys this screenshot, because this right here. This is why you have been seeing such an uproar in the last few days. Okay. So I just wanted to throw that up there just so we have that understood. Now I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to let people back in. All right. So with that being said, based off of what we saw, what happened after that?
Well, I know I came across it, you know, I was just kind of scouring through Instagram, and I saw people talking about it, and then I went back to the Complex post. At that point in time, she already deleted her comment, but I could still see the thread of comments left behind, and yeah, it was just kind of like, you know, it was just, to me, it's 2020 and we still got to have this discussion. Like, to me, you know, the fact that, you know, one, because I'm glad you separated the Complex issue versus the women in the sneaker community in general, because I do feel like it's two separate issues.
Yes.
But just to see the fact that we still got to have this conversation where we got to put a spotlight on this issue, because, you know, Complex don't care. Complex does not care about whether or not you're represented. That's not, they don't give a shit. Like, real talk, like, they are catering to a certain demographic and it ain't us, you know? And so, you know, I wasn't surprised that they did that, but I was surprised to see, one, that she felt enabled to say what she said.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to come out and say, well, I mean, girl from Germany, you would think that she would know better, like, you know, as far as sensitivity to, you know, that type of language.
And that's another part of the conversation as well. Now, there seems to be some folks that totally understand and get why it's wrong, and then there's some people that know it's wrong, but yet they use the fact that she is from Germany to pacify it.
No.
How?
There's no possible way.
How do you? There's too many reminders in Germany for her to not know better.
Unacceptable.
That's the reason why I jumped in when it was mentioned foreign, because I'm foreign.
Talk about it.
It happened here, and it still happens here in Australia. And when an Australian company put her photo up, I contacted them straight away and told them what they were actually advertising.
Yep.
Luckily, they took the photo straight down, and they've advised me their marketing team's looking into it, because it's not what they stand for. They are a company that sells to pretty much every culture that lives in Australia, and their staff are from every culture. They actually call themselves culture kings.
And I want you to because Shell actually has. Did you get that information you told me about?
She didn't send anything.
Okay.
She got caught up yesterday.
No,
so
that's fine. That's fine. I just asked because I want to kind of bring light to the fact that, you know, a lot of people felt like this discussion was based off of some like pro-black, black party type of shit. No, this is about the people in the community that care about the community or lack thereof. We care when there's a problem or a disparity in the community, in the culture that we all love and that we're all passionate about. That's what everything has been about.
Can I add something to that? Because it annoys me to no end. Anytime a person of color speaks up about anything, it all of a sudden becomes this notion that we're trying to separate racist, or we're trying to be inflammatory. We're always trying to do something other than highlight an issue. And that is the most annoying thing ever, because people don't like, race is an uncomfortable topic. Nobody wants to talk about it. And that's why it has yet to go unaddressed, because people would rather ignore it and sweep it under the rug instead of addressing it. This is why we're still having this conversation in 2020. Yeah. And it just annoys me to no end that's even being said right now. Like, instead of actually focusing on the issue, they'd rather, focus on us. Like, think about it. Like, you don't say, when a fire marshal comes to your kid's school and talks about fire safety, you don't accuse them of trying to like spread arson. You know what I'm saying? But when we talk about race, we're accused of stirring the pot. And that to me is just, that's something I can't stomach no more. And that's why we talked about it, on our channel.
Exactly. And here's the thing, I know that discussions like this make a lot of people uncomfortable. They're afraid of what could be. They're afraid of the uncomfortable waters that could come from that. When in fact, if we just face things head on, we'll find as more things start to occur, there'll be a lot less spillover and a lot less blowback and a lot less disparity and a lot less separation and a lot less ignorance. Understood?
The problem to me is people want to be so PC or whatever. Like, nothing's going to change if we don't try to change it. And I get people who come to me all the time because I do have a business, so I do need to market myself in a certain way, but I'm also a Cancer, so I'm very emotional. So when I see something I don't like, I'm going to speak about it, even if it comes out in the wrong way. And if I go about it the wrong way, I will apologize and own, up to my shit. But people just want to not speak about something because they're worried, maybe I won't get this sponsorship or this person won't like me or whatever. You have to stand up for what you believe in. Otherwise, like, what are you here for? Just to go along, to get along? Like, that's the part I don't like.
Right.
Look,
go ahead, Kev.
I'm never gonna sacrifice what I believe in and who I am for a fucking sponsorship. I'll tell you that much right now.
Amen.
Like, there's never anything more important for me than being true to myself first. Like, other than that, I consider it selling out. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has a voice. Everybody needs to be heard. Everybody's had a past. And people need to know that, because that's part of understanding.
Exactly.
And I think in a community, a lack of understanding usually breeds a lot more for people talking out of not understanding, or saying that they understand how somebody feels when they don't fucking understand how somebody feels because they haven't experienced it. So saying you understand or saying whatever, like, instead there should be more questions asked. Like, people think it's not okay to ask questions if you don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's okay to ask questions. It's not okay to assume the answer. It's not okay to assume like you're fucking, something because of your friend, or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it's like, but so I asked my friends.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That was the same for me.
And that doesn't mean now that I'll never know. I'll never know what that feels like. I never know what it'll feel like to live in a black person's skin. But what I can do is not be an asshole. Straight up. Just don't be
Real
an
talk.
asshole.
Yeah.
If
That's
I
exactly
if
what I
I'm gonna
said to the girls last Saturday.
Yeah.
Yep. And
if I'm gonna
go ahead.
if I'm gonna talk out of something that I have no knowledge or experience of, you're not gonna hear me speak on it.
Absolutely.
You know,
But so we need more people like you,
so
though.
and if I know that
Yeah,
I'm
there's not
treading
a
into
lot of
some,
people that
Yeah.
follow, that type of thing or have that type of thinking. It's kind of like
no,
if someone says the comment that she says, I'm just supposed to brush it off and not address it and not say anything. That's why, for me, in my experience, like I'm always labeled the angry Black girl. She's angry, she's mad. No, I'm just gonna say how I feel. And if you don't like how I feel, that's a personal problem. So
right.
it's kind of
And-
like,
and
if I tell you it hurt my feelings because I can't go in the bathroom and I can't wipe this off, like literally it doesn't come off, but I
Right.
couldn't even get in her DMs, to even say that to her because she blocked me. So it's kind of like that also lets me know that you don't care about how that made me feel, how
No.
that made the little girl feel that might have seen it, that be on Instagram and she ain't supposed to be on Instagram, but she saw that you made that comment. Like, you don't know. So it's kind of like
Right.
the disrespect, but I'm not
Right.
allowed to speak out on it because then I'm labeled the angry Black girl. I'm complaining. I've been called out my name. I've been called all these things. And it's kind of like, okay, so why can't I speak on it? So I'm not going to be quiet. I'm going to say something.
And even then, I
Absolutely.
think it's okay. Like if somebody's gonna label you based on how you feel, that's on them. That's not on you. That
Mhm.
means that then you know what I'm saying? Like I won't label you as anything for you saying how you feel about something, because that doesn't encourage people to speak freely. Then you have to be worried about what other people are gonna think about how you feel.
Yep.
Like that ain't
But you
right.
know what?
You know what
But
I mean?
you know what, though?
I
That
wanna
kind of
be
leads
I
to
want to be heard. I want to be acknowledged. And if somebody has a problem with that, it's not that I'm going to be disrespectful, but if I'm angry, I have every right to be angry. Let me be angry. Don't try to shut me up because I'm angry.
Yeah.
Right.
But that leads to the next point,
You're
though, because
allowed
there
to
were
be angry, but you can't. For me, I can't be angry and then turn it around and make it okay to point the finger at somebody else and then call them some other shit pup. You're this and you're that. That's just brooding into the problem. I got to keep it on my side of the street about why I'm angry. That's about, you know what I mean? Like, otherwise it spawns into more shit, you know?
But there was a guy in the comments, a Black man, that was kind of on that tip, though. And that's what that probably bothered me more than the initial comment, because it was like, yo,
that's what I want to. Well, that's what I want to talk about, because when we talked about we shouldn't assume things, that comment that you're alluding to was someone assuming just because this person is not from here, this person has no way of knowing the disparity or the racial hurt and pain of a particular group of people. But in fact,
another comment.
But in fact, we actually have a couple of people here that can give you some examples of some of the things that, such as Shell, who's in Australia, Shell, who has friends and knows these sort of stories from people that look like us that are in Australia. We also have, what's her name? Sneaker Curls?
Yeah.
She's from Germany. And what are some things she told you, Word?
She was just saying, like, I mean, it's a clear, understanding of racism there. And like Danny said in a post earlier, there was an episode a couple of weeks ago about, I think it was like some cupcakes or cookies or something made with like blackface, and it was a whole like article about it. So you can't sit there and say like, oh, you don't know what's going on, you don't know what's wrong. Because even for me, if you say something and it's wrong, and maybe you don't know culturally, you don't see why it's wrong, or maybe you were brought up where they talked about it in the house and it was okay. Once you see you offend people and they come to you, and not the trolls, but people came to her in her DMs on a like, hey sis, look, you shouldn't be doing this, whatever. You weren't apologetic. Your first go-to was like you dated a Black man. To me, that's the ultimate cop-out. Well, I have Black friends, I can't be racist. Like, don't do that. Just apologize and then move along. You can't control what people do after that. But if you apologize and own your part in it, then you can step back from it and learn from that. But she's not apologetic. She's enjoying the follows and the other people who are adding to her. She's making posts about it still.
Yeah, and I wanna put a pause in that really quickly. I have a delay on my StreamYard stream, so I'm on YouTube on my phone. Sneaker Curls is actually in the chat right now. Sneaker Curls, can you jump in really quick by chance? But she, I got the link right here. jump in really quick. She is from Germany. She is from Germany, and you know we've been reading the thought from people that just because again somebody's from a different place that they have no clue what they're doing. that's very irresponsible. It's very irresponsible. But yeah, try to, if you can't, Sneaker Curls, hop in. But basically what she said already is that's the bullshit though. I am and live in Germany. Racism exists. She knows that this is messed up. And I spoke to somebody that knows her just yesterday. He thought it was fitting to call me, and I respect him. We have mutual respect. I respect people, and I expect respect in return, and I get that typically. But anyway, he knows her, and he basically was just telling me like, you know, she's not racist. She's not racist. She just made a mistake. She didn't know this, that, and the third. And so basically, he goes on to say that as a friend, I called her to let her know that it was wrong, to bring attention to her that it was wrong. She apologized to me, and what I told him is this. What I told him is this. She apologized
to him?
To him, yes. So what I told him is...
talking about...
Huh?
Who are we talking about right now?
My friend?
The Sneaker Girl's friend.
Queen yeah, my boy, the retro Wiz kid. Yeah. So okay. So yeah, he called me directly. And he told me that he did speak with her, and basically that you know, she apologized to him after he told her that it was wrong. And so basically what I tried to help him understand is this. The intent matters not. The intent matters not. It's all about it's about accountability. Okay? So she could very well not have known. That's fine. But once she realized that it was a very offensive situation that she put us all in, a very hurtful situation she put us all in, that was when it was time for her to take responsibility, be accountable, apologize. And that's it.
I wish you never told me that. I wish you never told me that, and I'll say this because of this. One, she apologized to him for what? Like, right. She didn't offend him. You know what I'm saying? Look, her friend can sit there and say that she made a mistake. If she really felt that way, she would have addressed it. She would have apologized. She would have tried to make things right. She apologized to him for putting him in a position. She wasn't really sorry about what she said. You know what I'm saying? So, that story right there, him saying what he said, he could have said it. That was a waste of a conversation to me because you know what I'm saying?
It wasn't a waste because again, that's my friend. I'm gonna mute you, Kev, really quick. I'm gonna mute you, Kev, just because I want to get the popping out really quick.
But no, I'm not saying look, y'all cool or whatever. I'm just saying the story of she's sorry, she made a mistake.
Oh, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, first of all, who don't know better? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get past that point. She knew better. She knew what she was saying. That's why she made the comment. You know what I'm saying? She thought she was being funny, and she wasn't. You know what I'm saying? So, you know,
she keeps doing it. She's not.
That bothers me more than that. Now I'm getting more mad now.
But then here's the thing, and I'll let you. I'm gonna let you talk, Jill. Give me 1 second.
Even when she replied to Jazzy, there was no remorse in that. Oh, I put it up and I thought people might take it the wrong way. That's not. Right. I put it the wrong way. I'm sorry. I think people will take it the wrong way.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. It's like even if she truly did not mean for it to be haste or malicious, be accountable for what you said, for what it yielded. It yielded a lot of people upset. So now you as an adult, because this young lady, I think he told me she's like 23 or 24. That's old enough to know right from wrong.
Yeah.
100%. What do people always say? The cover-up is worse than the crime, right?
Correct.
So, I mean, yeah. So the crime, her saying it, yeah, but then like all this other stuff, that's just making me more upset.
If you're really sorry, just apologize. Like, just say you're sorry. Like these little private apologies to people who aren't even affected by it that does nothing for me. Like, I don't understand how hard it is to take accountability. Like, I had someone come to me about the whole situation, and they're from another country, so they don't speak English well. So something they said to me, I got defensive because I didn't understand. When the person finally explained to me what they meant, I apologized because I took it wrong. It's not hard. Like, it's not like we're not expecting nobody to be perfect. But the fact that you went and made a joke about it, you said that you date Black men and you have Black friends, was like Word said, the biggest cop out I have ever heard in my entire life. Literally, it's like white people who think that having Black friends and dating Black people make them special. It's like they have a card and they walk around in their wallet like, hey, I'm gonna pull this out and it'll get me by. No, it won't. Like, what do you even mean? It
and honestly, you know, even to that effect, none of that matters. None of that matters. At the end of the day, we're asking for accountability. That's it.
Right. Can I address something?
I don't care that you were sleeping with a Black man. I don't care that you have Black friends. I don't care if your father is Black.
I don't care.
But listen, but that's the problem though. Like, her defense was, I had a Black boyfriend. What? How does that make you? Like, what part of that?
Somebody told me that she said she wanted Black babies. Like, it's kind of like, come on, like what is it with us? Like, girl,
can I address something though?
It's like to be in my shoes, girl. Like, literally, stop it before you come over here and get in my shoes. And I bet you won't even last 30 minutes. Like, please stop.
And that's honestly, that's a whole other conversation, and we may get to it, we may not. But go ahead, Caesar.
I want to address something too. I see it in the comments where, you know, people see. I guess some women started a hashtag called Soul Sisters.
Well, no. If you're gonna address that, I have to address that because I'm a part of the group that started that hashtag.
Okay, cool.
So So myself, BG Kicks, Flashy Girl, Lick My Nikes, Meek 2001. Mixie Kicks, Mrs. Evans, Soulflower, the Yellow 178. Okay. We thought there was an opportunity for us to find a way to come together, unite, build a platform so that we can indeed be visible. And it doesn't mean that it was just for us as 8 or 9 women. It was something we wanted to share. But the problem with assuming is that people automatically, when they saw that, they're thinking, oh, they want to discriminate. Oh, they want to create separation. When in fact, our whole purpose was to just build it up amongst us, make it visible, and then we could share it and spread that wealth amongst our sisters.
Right.
And other people made it into something else. The inception of Sisters Created Soul had nothing to do with anything outside of the positive.
I don't understand the problem with.
But see, this is what I wanted to say. Go ahead.
I understand the problem with the hashtag.
Have you seen this whole thing about, like, people? I guess they're debating back and forth about Black people being racist. I mean, that came. I can't remember
Black
what
can't be
I
racist.
saw. It's something on Netflix, a documentary where they said essentially Black people can't be racist because racism comes from a form of power and money, and we'll never be in control. It's not to say that we can't be biased or have, you know, an opinion that's not
be prejudiced or
But we can't overtly oppress a group of people. Like that's that whole thing behind that about racism. But I'm still sitting here, like, it's getting me a little upset, which is why I've been quiet, because I see Kev in the chat still trying to defend this girl and saying, well, you guys.
Well, no. See, this is the thing. Let's sit back for a second. Let's observe the situation. Okay. So like
he's saying y'all don't want to fix anything.
Right.
Like, people are making general statements right now saying we don't want to fix anything.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Kevin, what we're trying to do is understand each other. We're trying to understand why you think that way.
Right.
We're trying to understand. Right.
Saying y'all don't want to fix anything.
Well,
Do people know how tiring it is? Do people know how tiring it is to constantly explain yourselves to Black men? Literally, how tiring it is to have this conversation over and I can't even count on my fingers and toes. How many times I've had to have conversations like this with men like Kevin, and it's not that I dislike him. It's just your way of thinking. Like, it's mind-boggling to me. I don't understand it. I don't. Like,
and
here's the thing. Okay. It's mind-boggling because we haven't put ourselves in an arena to discuss anything ever.
Okay.
So what we do is we just assume that, like, for instance, if he's saying that we're not trying to solve it, He's assuming that because he hasn't sat down with the right people. That would be people like us, people that want to discuss, people that want to talk it through, understand why he feels how he feels. Also, in return, he understands why we feel, and then we meet in the middle. There's never
he know a lot of y'all though, like quite a few of
that's
y'all.
not the point. That's not the point. So what we want to do is we want to meet in the middle. It's called a meeting of the minds. It's a meeting of the minds, and how that works. I tell you that I was upset by a situation. You, as my friend, or just somebody that gives a damn, ask me, why are you upset with that situation? I didn't take it that way. I thought it meant this. I tell them, this is how I understood it, because this is what I felt it meant. You know what I'm saying? And we don't disrespect each other for that. Period.
Can I add something? Because, one, particularly with Kev. Kev's a good dude. I know where he's coming from. He's looking at it from a middle of the road point of view. Like, he's looking at it like, how can we get to the solution? Here's the problem. Here's the solution. He doesn't want it to go too far this way or that way. So I get where he's coming from. Exactly. My point of view from when I first saw the comments was, I'm a black man, right? I'm more in tune to what we go through because I am black. Now, I'm not a black woman, right? And I know how hard it is for you guys because you guys have the double negative of being a woman and being black. So I wanted to use my platform when we did the video with Tay to give you guys, black women, the opportunity to kind of speak on an issue because you guys are underrepresented. You know what I'm saying? So instead of me telling you how you should feel, I wanted to listen. I wanted to understand. And like my man said earlier, like, I might not know what it's like to be a black woman, but I can definitely shut the hell up and support. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing too, and I respect everything you said, C's. And that's all a part of being an understanding and a fair person, right?
Right.
Even not having walked in a person's shoes, you can still come and say and ask questions, like what Campout just said. Campout said he didn't know, so he asked the question.
Right.
And now he has understanding. Not enough people are asking the right questions. Instead, we're putting each other on blast. We're disrespecting each other. We're attacking each other. So, for instance, with the situation with Kev's wife being white, now we know who that comment came from. Now, before you respond, Tay, understand the disrespect in that and be accountable for that.
Yeah, that was out of pocket.
And let her talk. So Tay, you go, and again, like I said, Tay, understand the disrespect in that, okay? And then address it.
Okay, so the disrespect in it, cool. If you felt disrespected, Kev, then I apologize for that. But let me address why I feel the way that I feel. So when I saw his comment, the first thing that struck me was she's foreign. And basically, it's then assumed that she had no ill intent behind what she said and she didn't know. It was like automatically, like, because he went and had a conversation with her, which is what he said. He had a conversation with her and off rip, he's just believing what she says. I guess it doesn't matter that she made a joke about it. I guess it doesn't matter that it hurt a lot of Black women. I guess it doesn't matter that it was disrespectful. Like, where in that did he then decide that making the comment that he made was okay and that it wouldn't have any, like, people wouldn't look at it funny? And so I didn't mean in terms of like when you like having a white wife, you're a sellout in terms of, oh my God, you Black people can't date outside your race. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I felt like he went to that defense to defend that girl that he don't even know right away because of who he's married to. However, I can understand if it was disrespectful, so I will apologize for that. I have no problem taking accountability for that. But I'm not gonna change how I feel about
for sure. And that's what I want you to understand. I don't want you to change your principle and the essence of the thought, right? But it's important that we hold ourselves accountable. So again, Kev, she just apologized. But what I'm gonna do after this I'm going to connect you two so you can talk and you can understand each other one-on-one. Okay. But she did just
Right.
apologize. She apologized to you publicly, just the same way that she disrespected you publicly. Okay. And so you see what difference that could make? That's all we as Black women were, wanted from the situation that we're even talking about. All we wanted was accountability.
So
Right.
I think that if what I'm guessing, and I'm not really interested in asking, has she been rewarded by this?
Yes.
I'm talking about whatever her name is that said the blackface thing.
Yep.
I don't know, right? But somebody had said that her following went up from 14.8 to 18.
Yep.
So I don't know, but it's safe to question, could somebody be sorry when they're getting rewarded for it? You know, maybe when confronted by one person, you know, she's able to say sorry, but she's been confronted by multiple people, and she's been rewarded for it. So we don't really know, you know, like, does she feel sorry? Does it even matter? Because personally, I don't care if she feels sorry about something. It's like, if somebody comes and fucking sideswipes my kid in an accident and they're sorry for it, like,
Right.
great, you're sorry. That doesn't take away the fact that already happened. You know,
Exactly.
Like, what we
I'm
can
gonna
do,
oh, go ahead, Kay. I'm sorry. Continue.
what we can do is try to take preventative measures next time. So that's, you know what I mean? Like, the city will take a preventative measure. Well, they'll be like, okay, well, we're going to put wider lanes. I'm just making something up, you know, wider lanes, or we're going to try to make sure that cars have extra safety airbags or whatever. So what, as a community, we can do is like put out something where people can be educated enough to not put their foot in their mouth with maybe one person you fuck up with, okay, but like, if you fuck up on a page that has 200,000 or whatever million, whatever they have followers, you fucked up pretty big. That's a lot.
Absolutely.
That's a lot.
And here's my
You
thing. I don't want anybody to, well, first off, let me do this. Shell, I'm gonna put you backstage and I'm gonna get somebody on. Okay, I got you. So what's going to do? What I was gonna say was, I have no care that her page continued to grow. That's perfectly fine. She's doing what she does in her lane. All I'm asking for is, Red, you gotta mute something. Red. You rolling the blunt.
Mo, was your hair red, man?
Okay. I'm not about to have a blunt on my channel. What do y'all think this is? Huh?
Yo, what?
Do y'all think I'm the blunt rolling up channel? Anyway, what I was gonna say was,
Real quick.
Go ahead, Word.
Yeah, I wanted to chime in because, like, that whole, you know, situation with Tay and Kev, like, I guess she, you know, that's how she interpreted it when she saw him defending her. So that was my main issue. I had an issue not with, like I said, I don't care about Kev's wife because my brother is engaged to a white woman. So clearly I have no problem with anybody dating anyone they want. My problem was Kev is a person that I've chilled with, I've ate with, I've hung out with, we had conversations. You reached out to this woman in defense of her when she made a racist statement insulting people, you know, that you can relate to, and immediately reached out to her, but sat back and did nothing when I went through a battle with Alias, and we're friends.
We're not doing the Alias thing. We're not doing the Alias thing right now.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, that's the comparison. Like, basically, you did nothing to defend me in a situation, but you ran to this woman's aid. Someone who's in another country who you have no connection with. I'm trying to understand where you were coming from with that. Why were you reaching out so hard to help her or to diffuse the situation, but not another? Because that's why I said on their show, I was like, if you're not going to help all women, don't help any women. Just stay out of it.
Absolutely. And this is one of the things, before you talk, Tay, I'm gonna let you as soon as I'm done.
Okay.
And this is one of the things that I've had conversations with him and other people about. It's okay to be a fair person. I know Kev, he just wants to be fair. But where he was irresponsible was he was only fair to one side. So he justified her action, but he left us hanging, right? When in fact, he could have actually did us both a solid in the same statement. He could have pacified her in a way and was fair, but he also could have uplifted us in the same statement in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I can't tell you how that will look for you, Kev, but we had this conversation together, you and me, one-on-one. There was a way to justify it on both sides. And that's all. That's all we want. We don't want to attack you. We don't want you to feel like you're disenfranchised and that we don't love you. You are our brother, period.
And that's
I
where
will apologize. I'll own and apologize for making my post instead of coming to Kev, because you're right, we are friends, so I should have came to you in a DM or text or whatever. So I'll own my part in that. But at the same time, where you posted your comments was on someone's post who most of the people in here probably don't know. I know this person only because I chilled with them at a sneaker con. But you posted these things about how you reached out to her on someone else's post that got hidden in the mix. I felt like if your intentions were really to diffuse the situation and say, hey, this is what she meant, you have, 60 plus K followers? Why not post it on your page so everyone can see it? I feel like you're trying to hide in plain sight.
And to her point with the whole comment that I made about him, like, it came across to me, and this is just me, it came across to me that because of what he has going on at home, and I don't want to bring it up as if it's a bad thing, because it's not that I'm against it, but I felt like that's why he felt like he had to go to that defense first. It's how it came off to me. So that's where my comment came off. And also having personal conversations with Word about, the prior situation, then this situation about how she felt also too, was kind of like, okay, dang, like, so you're actually friends with people that are hurt by this, and you didn't even try to make peace. Because if he's such a person that is fair and likes to make peace and likes to see both sides, then why didn't he do that? And also to her point too, he commented on somebody's page where if the situation hadn't have happened and I hadn't been so vocal, I would have never been following that person. And then also to someone's point about a comment that they made, just because of who Kev's wife is, I never said it diluted his purpose. I never talked about his purpose as a person or whatever, or what he can do and change. All I was coming from was, if you're going to make a comment about something, have the facts right, because your facts were wrong.
And I just want to follow up with the fact that 2 people have apologized on this panel so far. I just want to put it out there. 2 people have apologized publicly just now on this platform so far. Okay. So again, this is about accountability. People are going to have discussion, or people are going to have their assumptions and all of these varying things. But the problem again is that we don't come together to understand each other. Okay. So here's the thing. This is not about Kevin at this point. All right. But definitely, I'm glad that you came into the chat, Kevin. That means a lot to me. I hope that if you do want to say something, you are more than welcome to acknowledge these apologies. If you want to acknowledge these apologies, feel free. But I want us to come together and be able to do this. If we're a family, let's talk about it, period.
Right.
Just for a moment, I'm not trying to belabor this point, but I wanted to let Kay know that he wasn't the only one who felt that way about him commenting and why he made the comments that he did. That it matters. It matters a lot who he chooses to be married to. It's not a problem by any means, but it does provide reference to his train of thought. And like Q said earlier, he went out of his way several times to defend her without ever considering the other side. And that was my problem. And that's why I said what I said under the post. The other people who didn't seem to understand why Sneakers Girl comment was so offensive. The fact that the people who reached out to her, she said people said that she apologized to them, but those aren't the people who needed to hear the apology. Those aren't the people that were offended. And it's offensive to me to hear someone who looks like me go out of his way to defend someone who doesn't have a frame of reference to the struggles that we go through, how Black women are always looked and always weaponized. It's not fair, and it is part of the problem. It is part of the problem. I'm not going to apologize for what I said because it's the truth. There's this thing that people don't talk about too much. It's called unconscious bias, and it happens every day. And unfortunately, we were kind of programmed to accept it. The best example I can give is a high school cafeteria. Who does everyone go sit with when they go eat lunch? Everybody sits who they're comfortable with, regardless of what they look like. But there is always a clear divide with who sits with who, and that continues on into adulthood. And because we don't have these conversations very often, it does make it hard to progress and move forward, because people think that it's not okay to say Black. Like I'm kind of offended when people say people of color and POC and want to lump everybody in, because yeah, it may be a problem for people of color, but this is a Black problem. We're talking about Black people. Specifically, we're talking about Black women. Anytime you lump anybody else into that situation, it minimizes what it is we're talking about, and that is a Black woman problem in terms of representation and ads and everything. So, like, that's all I had to say about that, and that's why I said.
I appreciate
agree.
you, Red. Appreciate you, man.
I agree with a lot.
Yeah.
I agree with a lot what my man said, but I do have to stress this. One, the issue of race is a hard and difficult topic, right? And I think if we want understanding, if the goal is to get to this certain place, I do think there are moments, or there's a way to have this discussion in a palatable way to bring people in. I think once we start attacking people's spouses and stuff, I think that's when it distracts from the subject. That distracts from the conversation, because his wife had nothing to do with it. Now, if you want to attack Kev for what he said and how he went about it, that's fair. I do think bringing anybody's spouse into it, because love is love. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I got a sister, she's married to a white man. Word said that she got a sibling that's married to somebody from another race too. So it ain't even about that. The issue at hand was, oh, girl coming out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? We could sit here all day and say, well, she didn't know. The hell she did. She knew it. That's why she deleted the comment. Absolutely. She knew what she did. She knew she messed up. So we can get past that point. We can get past the point of trying to justify and all this other conversation about intent, because like my man's give the example about you hit my kid with a car. I don't care if you didn't intend to hit my kid with a car. I'm still pissed that my kid got hit with a car.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And I want you guys to understand, like, for those in the comments that are uncomfortable, this is an uncomfortable conversation. Period. Yeah. This is why these conversations do not happen. You get it? Because too often, you know, one thing is said, a person takes it out of context as opposed to asking the question, what did you mean when you said that? Right. Instead it's, oh, that nigga don't know me. Oh, you going other places. Oh, this, that, and the third. Like, no, we don't even have to do all of that.
The issue at hand was Black women, Black people in general, but in particular Black women, being underrepresented in the sticky community. That's the issue. You know what I'm saying? All this other chicken shit that everybody's throwing in is, to me, distracts from the point.
Right. And in terms of our immediate family, I think that we've come to a slight bit of resolution in terms of our immediate family. Again, there's been 2 apologies already on this platform. Like, that's accountability. And I want to give my sisters Tay and Word credit for that. I want to give you guys credit for being accountable. You understood where you went wrong in the situation. And that's all it's about. Just understand. Not all of us are going to be right. I don't do everything right.
Right.
And there's a quote from I forgot what book, but it said we'd rather understand than to be. It's better to be it's better to understand than it is to be understood. And I can only relate that to me. I can't make a blanket statement about how everybody should use that because that's not what I'm about. If I understand other people better, it makes my life better. You know, like if I understand what I should say, what I shouldn't say, how I should approach this person in this situation, or how I should how I should be around kids, or whatever situation. It makes it better for me. I don't have the desire to be understood for me personally, because I know it's impossible. Like I can't have everybody understand me, but because people never will. Like people have never experienced things that I've gone through, and I don't want them to, because I have my own things that I've been through. I never, from being a veteran and all those things, I don't want people to know what that's like, but what I've worked on is I'm not that important. I'm just talking about me. I'm not that important. What is important is a community as a whole. The community as a whole is important to me. So when I've gotten out of the way, and I've really tried to, because I used to get hot-headed over so much shit, and when I stopped and I started understanding more about, asking questions is the best thing I could do. Because if I get an emotion when somebody says something, the first thing that happens, I have an emotion that arises first, and I act on that emotion. I react.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So if I pause for a minute, and that's what I know how to do today, is I don't say things sometimes because I'm reacting, and I don't want to react, because if I react, that's dangerous for me. I have to take a minute and pause, and then go back into when I'm not angry, and then I can start asking questions, and then I can start understanding. Because in the heat of the moment, I'm not trying to hear anybody. You know what I mean? I'm only reacting of what you just did to me. You know what I mean? So that's all I got to say about that.
Right.
Go ahead, where you got to talk.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem here is like a lot of assumptions, like how people assume what we're going to come in here and talk about, or that it's one-sided. Like at the end of the day, there's right and wrong. Her statement was 100% wrong. Whether she meant it in whatever way, whatever the case, she has to acknowledge that the statement was wrong. That doesn't mean she's a bad person. That doesn't mean she's a racist, in my opinion. She just did something that was wrong. Because, I mean, we don't know. Maybe she did it with the intent to get followers and to get, attention, because that's a thing going on, especially during this quarantine, people doing things to get attention. So, we won't group her in and saying that, but we're saying people are not trying to acknowledge what she did was wrong. They're just immediately looking at the people who are now wronging her because they're reacting in a way to what she did. And we can't do that, because I don't agree with the people who are saying, white people.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I definitely don't agree with that, because I'm super cool with Shell. She stayed at my house. I have no problem with anybody in the game who has a love for this game.
Right.
But you're not going to come in here and make racist statements and think that you're going to be accepted. That's what's not going to happen.
Exactly. And I assorted this panel intentionally, because understand, our family in this culture, it consists of multiple types of people. I mean, from different races, black, brown, white, yellow, red. You know what I'm saying? We love each other. This just happened to be a black-white thing. This just happened to be that. You know what I'm saying? But it's important that everybody that represents the culture has a say in situations like this. Discuss it, period. We have a problem.
But I think people are mistaking people speaking up for a marginalized group as if we're trying to marginalize other groups.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm trying to highlight an issue with black women and try to prop them up doesn't mean that I'm trying to put white people down at all. Mm-hmm. What my point is, and I think most people's point is that black people have built this culture, along with, Asians and other races. And so it feels like now that sneaker culture has become this huge profitable thing, that we're becoming marginalized at the expense of profit, at the expense of other people being propped up. And that's the issue. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want people to conflate it with, like earlier, you were talking about the hashtags, and somebody was trying to equate that with something else. Like people often equate Black power with white power. White power is about superiority and inferiority. Black power is about self-empowerment, self-love. You know what I'm saying? So while they might sound the same, they come from two different places. And so that's what I want people to understand. People throughout the word intent and context, understand that. Understand when we say, the hashtag, whatever it is, Sisters Got Soul or Started Soul, it isn't to say that nobody else can be involved. It's trying to empower and uplift Black women in the culture. And I think people need to understand that difference before they just, like my man said, think before you react emotionally because you saw something and it triggered whatever emotion it triggered.
And that was going to be one of my closing points to this particular topic. Now we have to go into a part of this portion of this subject matter and talk about how we can better handle situations like these moving forward, because they're going to continue to happen. But how we think before we react, just as C's mentioned, is going to make the difference. So as opposed to, we may see our friend comment on something that we don't agree with, do we put them on blast, or do we go to them directly, contact them, say, hey, I didn't really like what I saw on that post, and I saw that you commented, you seem to agree with it, what's up? Or are we still going to put people on blast? What's the resolve there?
It depends on the person. I would think, honestly, if I have a relationship with you, I'm going to reach out to you first before I put you on blast. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the sneakers girl or whatever. So the comment, I can understand why people put her on blast because,
No. I don't mean that. I don't mean that.
You're talking about as far as the conversation we had earlier about as far as family and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, no. If I got a relationship with you, I'm definitely going to reach out to you. Like, to put somebody on blast, you know what I'm saying? Because what happens is now they become defensive. Now they're not as open to hearing your pain or whatever it is you're trying to address. And I think reaching out to them privately to handle that issue is a more respectable way, I believe.
Anybody else want to chime in on that? Are we at a point to where we can understand the detriment of putting people on blast as opposed to going to them directly? Whether or not, here's the thing, even if that person decides that they still want to go left, somebody got to go right. Somebody has to be the one that hits their DM, that hits their text message, hits their line, and say, I don't know, bro. I don't know, sis. That they ain't look too good. I would rather you swallow your pride, because here's the thing. I had this conversation with somebody as well. If you are brave enough to put somebody on blast, you then too have to be brave enough to initiate conversation with a person.
Yep.
I think
100%.
I agree, but I just think that I'm trying to think of the best scenario, because since this has happened, I've had people, like, I guess I'm not going to go, if your first instinct is to come on my post and comment, for instance, I'm just going to use an example. If there's someone that has been following me, I've been following them, and we've, talked about shoes or whatever the case may be, and the situation happens, and the first thing you think to do is to come on my post and be like, yo, why are you complaining? That immediately, I'm turned off immediately. And I don't want to have a conversation, because your first thought wasn't to come in my DMs and explain. Your first thought was to be like, yo, you're complaining. Yo, you need to step up your game. You're not doing enough. Yo, you whatever the case may be. So, and even in this situation, I've had things where I've seen people post and I didn't understand what they were saying, but because I know them and I've talked to them, we've had private conversations. But if your first instinct is to come and blast me under a comment of a post that I made instead of coming to me, even though we've had conversations, then I take that a little differently. So
Absolutely.
It really depends for me, but I don't like to be mean in a sense, I guess, because I feel like it's mean to expose people that you know. But if I know you and you still are coming at me and you didn't even take the time to understand where I was coming from, that's a different scenario for me. But
And this is why I want us to kind of come to a resolve here, because I mean, clearly we know what we're talking about.
But it begs the question: what are we trying to accomplish?
Um,
You know what I'm saying? Like that ultimately that becomes the question. Like, what are we trying to accomplish at the end of the day?
What
And
we're
I
trying
do
to what we're
believe,
trying to accomplish is being able to communicate to each other. Like,
no, I mean, I'm in reference to what Tay said because I can understand
oh, okay.
wanting to react, but it
Mhm.
does become a point where it's like, all right, you know what? Because somebody come out of pocket, so we respond out of pocket. So now it's just a
well, it's not.
continuation of people just
Well, that's not to say that everything deserves a reaction, because that's not
right,
even the case. So it's a pick and choose type of battle for me, where
right,
I've been in a space of like, okay, I'm gonna pick and choose what I want to say. Now, granted, when everything went down, I decided to address everything, and anything that I wanted to people to see, I was gonna post that, because at that moment in time, I had reached a point where, you know, like, and I'm gonna just say this, like, as a Black woman, you reach a point, I feel like, where like either you're gonna be silent or you're not. And it's a hard thing. It's like, okay, I want to say something, but I know what can happen. So sometimes either I go all in or I don't say anything at all. So that's just
understandable,
kind of what it is for me. But I don't want to make enemies either. But I still want to
right.
be heard. So it's like trying to find that balance. And trust me, it's not an easy thing.
Absolutely. And this is not something that
Right.
you can change overnight. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I guess the point that I'm trying to drive specifically, and then we're actually going to go toward what some folks are talking about in terms of complex. I want to touch on that next. So I just want us to take a step back and be able to read something that offends us in terms of like somebody that we know putting a comment under something that maybe we don't agree with, right?
Right.
Surveying the situation first, making sure that you are actually, for lack of words, mentally stable enough to approach the situation. meaning being rational enough in that instance. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean don't be upset. But if you just went straight head on and immediately that person that you went toward feels attacked, then you probably came at it the wrong way.
Right. Agreed.
That's what
Okay.
I was saying earlier. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. That's how I used to approach everything. You know, especially in my 20s when I was a lot younger. Like, I didn't know any better. I didn't have any social, like, I didn't have any skills. I wasn't brought up being taught how to act or how to feel or none of that. You know, I had to kind of learn as I went. And there's a lot of bad that came out of that. You know what I mean? Like a lot of fights happened. A lot of losing friends happened. A lot of, you know, catching cases and things like that happened. Like, that hasn't worked good for me, you know?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I have to take a step back today. I'm almost 40 years old. I'm not a kid, you know, and I can't react like a kid. A kid reacts. I mean, if when I was a kid and a girl touched my shoulder, I'd be, you know what I mean? Oh my God, you know, we kind of know better because we had enough experience. And I think that we've experienced enough where we could be examples of how to do that. You know, and the only thing I could do, and I can't expect other people to follow my lead, but I try to be an example for other people, you know, and in hopes that when their consequences get so bad that they look for help, when they're sick and tired of the shit that they get for acting the way they do, because I got some idiot friends, you know, but I'm not going to try to tell them how to behave because they're not asking for it.
Mm-hmm.
If they're coming to me and they're asking me, then they're ready to listen. But if they're not willing to listen, then it's going to fall on deaf ears. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I also know when not to say something today. If somebody's ignorant, then there's no point in me getting hot. There's no point in me fucking saying anything because it's just gonna piss me off.
Right.
They're gonna be exactly who they are every single time, and I can't control that. You know, there is some people that I can't change people, but if somebody comes to me with something I've had an experience with, then I can tell them what I've done, not what they should do, but what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I promoted. I work in, I don't want to put this out, but I work in some other groups and things like that where people do come to me for help on things in their life. And they have to be ready for that. They have to be in a place of humility to be able to listen and be humbled first So I've gotten a lot of people that do come to me for things now because I'm waiting for them to. I know that their lives are screwed up, and so when they get into a place where they're in enough pain, they'll come to me and ask, and then I can tell. So in the meantime, I just try to work on me and be a better me. That's all I can do.
Right. And Saint Got Soul had a good point. I'll go back to his. It says, I feel like someone responds to a post that you don't agree with and you got completely left on that person. You missed the opportunity to make an ally out of somebody at that point. You know what I'm saying? You miss an opportunity to possibly have a friend. Now, a blackface comment is different. I'm talking about general stuff. I'm talking about general stuff. Let me be clear. Let me be clear. But this is why it's so important, because here we are trying to continue to cultivate a community, but we can't even do community-based things, such as not putting a person on blast and just approaching that person peacefully, respectfully, and possibly you might find you have a lot in common with that person, just period. Okay, so I want to leave that part of the conversation now, and I want to go into the whole complex doing something about it component.
Nothing.
So this is
I'm not gonna do anything.
This is the thing. We have to redirect our expectations. Okay.
Yep.
It's not up to the brand, it's up to us. Okay. So when you say, and I want to get clarity from you guys or in the chat too, when we say what is Complex going to do, what does that mean?
They're not gonna do nothing.
No. I mean when people say that, like when the person says, so what is Complex going to do now? What does that question mean?
I wish I knew, because
I'm laughing.
That's
the reason why I laugh.
Like, I don't know, because they're not going to do anything. Someone did ask me though, like, what validation am I looking for? That was a question that somebody asked me on one of the posts, like when it comes, because I had posted about Complex, and it's kind of like
they could just remove the post.
Right, simple. They could, but it's like I'm not looking for validation either, or like it's kind of like not what are they going to do? I mean, they could delete it, but that doesn't mean that they are going to then join forces with us and help us bring attention to what needs to be brought up and discussed. So it's kind of like we can't wait on them.
Right, and that's actually my driving point in all of this. So here we are trying to misdirect our expectations for a big brand. So Complex is the brand, right? Yep. What are they gonna do? Why is Complex letting people comment things like this on their page? Why is Complex this? Why is Complex that? That's the wrong expectation. So now we have to decide for us what's next.
Right.
What's next? So yeah, it wasn't an attention grab for you when you put that situation on blast. It wasn't about you, Tay, right? It wasn't about you. You wanted to bring light to something, but based off of some of the underlying frustration that you and I share as Black women in the culture, right? Yeah. What is next for you? Like, what do you want to see next for your particular presence in this culture?
I don't even know if it's more so about what I want to see next, because I've come to the realization that it's not on anybody else but me. And when I say me, I mean in terms of holding myself responsible, in terms of making sure that I do everything to make sure that we're seen and we're heard, because it takes all of us coming together to do it, but I have to play my part. So it's honestly just, doing what I love, because I'm really in this sneaker game because I love it. Like, I just created an Instagram page not too long ago. Like, it hasn't been that long, because I came to a point where I'm like, okay, I want everybody to see what I love, because I know other people out there love it too. So it's really just about, I guess, if we're moving forward, connecting with other Black women, connecting with women, period. Because I also want to make that comment that it's about Black women, but it's not just about us, because I also realize that every single woman in this sneaker community is fighting something. Literally, we all are fighting something as women in the sneaker community. So it's either we separate or we come together. And I would much rather see all of us come together. Absolutely. But also fighting for each other. Because while you know, I have people that I know on this Instagram community that are white that have my back, I want to have y'all back too. Tell me what y'all fighting too. Like, I feel like if we don't know, we'll never move forward in a good space.
Right.
So that's how I see it.
Absolutely. And one of the reasons why I bring that up is it's important that, you know, any woman, but specifically I'm in a Black woman's body, so I can only speak for me.
Yeah.
So it's important that we do not have high expectations for big brands. We get frustrated, not we, but I'm just speaking generally. We get frustrated when we feel like brands don't necessarily call us, reach out to us, put a spotlight on us. But it's so important that we work diligently every single day to build our own platform. We have the internet. We literally can do everything ourselves that we're expecting to gain from these brands. Literally.
Right.
Literally. Me today, lending my platform for this discussion. This is a platform that I built. A platform that I built that no one can take from me, that my personality helped me to galvanize and to cultivate and to continue to grow from. You know what I'm saying? And my passion for sneakers. I have a platform. I don't need a brand.
No.
That's where community comes as well. Community comes in, we network with each other, we're able to make steps in a united front. You know, if there's resources that I have, if there's resources that you have, we're able to actually create our own everything.
Right.
Yeah.
But you said it earlier, though. It's all about expectation, one. So just know Complex ain't thinking about us or anyone else but themselves. So once you get that in your head, then, you know, you stop expecting them to do anything right. But also, I want to add that, you know, both you and Tay made good points. And I think the role that I should play and other people, you said community. Come together, support. You know what I'm saying? If I know you starting a YouTube channel, I subscribe. You know what I'm saying? I give you the thumbs up. I'll give you the views. You know what I'm saying? Support you in that way so that you can build your platform. You know, I wanted to touch on it earlier, but, you know, we were talking about the comments, and one of the comments in the section that really got me incensed was blaming y'all for not working hard enough to get yourselves out there, as if that's the only thing. Like, you know, culturally, even racially, you know, historically, Black people have had to work twice as hard just to get the same acknowledgement. And so once you understand that, you understand the anger that you have, like I said, being Black women. So one of the things I know to do is to support you guys in all your endeavors, you know what I'm saying, if it's positive. Support you guys so that you can build that platform so that you don't need a complex. If enough of us support you, you know what I'm saying, the reason Complex got where they are is because enough people supported them.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So if we stop supporting Complex and then put that energy towards you and all the other people that are trying to do something positive, then not only will you get the platform that you're looking for, but Complex will have no choice but to pivot because they're chasing the money.
Exactly.
So they're going to follow the money regardless.
And that's my point. That's my point. It's like when somebody says, well, we need to work harder. Well, that's not the issue. The issue for us is we need to continue to build our own platforms. Just period. Yeah. You know, you have to decide what that looks like for you. You know what I'm saying? And so we can't be frustrated when we're not getting, quote unquote, the opportunities. We can't be frustrated by that because we can create that ourselves. Period. Exactly. Period. So let's figure out. We don't have to figure it out today, but we definitely need to figure out a way in which we can do better with. There's power in numbers, right? We need to figure out a way to actually make that work for every one of us. You know,
100%. Since this all came out last week, and then you asked me to be on the show, I looked into a lot of stuff, and I didn't realize how much you guys aren't represented in it. Because a lot of the pages I don't follow. I prefer to follow girls and guys like you guys that I can have a chat with. I can meet up when I come over to the States and have a drink with, go out to dinner with. And looking through it, even the Australian pages, it was full of European girls. There are plenty of multicultural people in Australia that collect shoes. We've got a huge Filipino community, a huge Asian, Islanders, Kiwis, Australians.
Mhm.
Yet all the pictures were European girls.
Mhm.
And I think I was talking to Mo the other night and I said, it shocks me.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
100%.
That is the representation being shown because they're pretty.
Or
They
they
get
feel like right. It feel like it
Yeah.
sells. It's
I'd prefer to
sells
see
or whatever
one
that
of you
is.
girls up there showing your style than seeing someone I'm never going to relate to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
And can I add this too? The brands are actually paying attention to this. I've had at least 3 conversations this week with at least 2 brands. Two sneaker brands and 1 retail brand. And they actually, Lena Waite's comment kind of precipitated all this. They were kind of focused on that, and then this happened after that. So it's kind of this snowball effect. But as far as the issue with women being underrepresented as well as Black women being underrepresented is a conversation they're having internally too. So this isn't just a community issue. This is an industry issue as well. So this is how big it's gotten. Like earlier this year, I made a big deal about the Black History Month collection from all the brands, but particularly from Nike. But so like race is an ongoing issue, and so I hope people listening don't think that when we say we're trying to uplift Black people, that comes at the expense of still including other people. You can do 2 things at once. I could say happy birthday to you without meaning that like, yo, fuck your birthday. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't
exactly.
it doesn't
And this
mean
is the
that.
thing too. Like what Nicole said. So she said we have to change our mentality to support big brands and help smaller brands get out there.
Agreed.
And that's absolutely important. Oftentimes we find ourselves complaining so much about these big brands. Oh, the quality this. Oh, they should have did the color blocking this way. Oh, the blase blah. But it's smaller brands out there that's making the exact stuff we actually want.
Yep.
Like, let's just be
Yep.
real about this thing. And just like what C said about some things he did for Black History Month, I started my own series for Black History Month. Like, when it comes to, you have to create your own. Period. You have to create your own. What is your brand? Establish what your brand is and then create your own, and everything else will follow. And as well, make sure community is involved. Make sure the community knows what you're doing as well. That's one thing I'm not as good with that part. I'm good at creating, but I'm not really good at communicating that I'm doing that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that makes the difference for me. Whereas somebody else, they're really dope at self-promoting, but they may not know where to start in terms of creating. So I have a resource then for that person, right? I have vision, I have creativity, where that person actually has communication skills. They know how to promote. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can swap those 2 things out and we can kill.
Yeah.
Can I give an example too, real quick? I don't want to take up everybody's time. As far as, because it seems like communication seems to be the real big key right here. And going back to the Black History Month collection that I was talking about, I ranted and raved about all that stuff. But what I also did was I reached out to the proper people and I listened to them, and they listened to me back. And I said it in a way that they could understand. I don't know if anybody followed the thing, but that's how I was able to literally corresponded with the CEO of Nike about the Black History Month collection. What people don't know is this August I was supposed to go out there because they wanted to continue that conversation, because they did feel like it was a big thing. Because what I did was I involved the community. This is what I mean by support. I involved the community and I told them, yo, send me your messages. Send me emails, messages telling me what you feel about the Black History Month and what you want to see going forward. Similar to what we're doing with this video. Did all that, forwarded it to them. They reached back out. They wanted to have a conversation. I was supposed to go out this August. We'll see if that still happens with this whole coronavirus thing. But that would have never have happened if I was just like attack. Like I had multiple conversations, and this was all white people. You know what I'm saying? Because mostly white people hold these positions at these brands. And so, but communication, being able to communicate in a way that doesn't put people on the defensive, can go a long way, I think. I think there's a way to aggressively illustrate your point without attacking, if you get what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else want to touch on that, or we good to move forward?
Yep.
All right, I just feel like everybody wants to preach support, which is the main thing. But I also feel like there's a lot of disingenuous support. Like, I mean, I guess if you don't want to support something, you don't have to, but don't then like have fake support for something for like a week and then fall. I think that's the main problem. Like, we'll talk about this, and there might hopefully there's a lot of people who keep this going, but there'll also be a lot of people who drop off out of it. And I feel like the perfect example is with ASAP Rocky. ASAP Rocky, when the whole Black Lives Matter movement was going, he felt like he couldn't relate. He's like, hey, I live in Beverly Hills, I have this, I have that, I can't relate. Even as a Black man, like, maybe you didn't go through that experience, but you have to know somebody that knows somebody that went through it. And he was preaching he can't relate, and he's not going to do things this way just because people feel he should. And then he went to Sweden and got locked up, and now he wants the help of all these people who he wrote off. And like, I find things like that funny. People, when something doesn't involve them, or they feel like they can't understand, they want to write it off. But then when something happens to them, they want that support from those same people they wouldn't help.
But at the same time, though, sometimes it takes people having that come to Jesus moment, for them to understand, like, that they were wrong. So, it's one of those things. I get what you're saying. Like, it might come off as disingenuous. Oh, now that it happened to you, now you want to get involved. At the same time, it could be genuine. It's just a matter of, like you said, the longevity of his actions.
Some people like to learn the hard way. It's unfortunate.
That's true.
But, some people just prefer to learn the hard way. It's like you can tell them again and again and again. But It's like, same way we're trying to, explain to someone who doesn't want to understand what I've been through. Like, I could tell them again and again, but if they don't want to hear it, then, that's not, what am I supposed to do about that? I tried.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what I was saying earlier. Like, we could only really do something once, and otherwise it's just exhausting. I forgot who was saying that earlier about sick and tired of having to explain it.
Yes, me. It's tiring.
Yeah, I get it. Like, I have a certain lifestyle that I live, and if somebody questions it, I'm only going to answer that once.
Right.
You know what I mean? Other than that, I'm like, man, I've already told you, and if you don't get it, I don't expect you to. Like, I understand that. And I'm one of those hard-headed people that, well, not anymore, but I had to learn from my own experience because I had issues with trusting others. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if there's any other people that are like me, if you tell them something, it may fall on deaf ears because I couldn't trust anybody. You know what I mean?
But,
like, how am I
everybody.
going to listen and take somebody else's advice when everybody else's advice has failed me? So I had to learn for myself that something wasn't okay. You know what I mean? Like, maybe some people do need to be punched in the face before they realize something's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like,
unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Sometimes people just, that's just what they want.
Yeah.
Some
you
people
tell your
learn
kid
that
not to
way,
touch
though.
the stove.
Like, I learned from putting myself in really bad situations. I learned from pain, man. That's pain motivated me to learn. Not because the people told me my whole life, like, it could have been a judge, it could have been a girlfriend, it could have been my parents, it could have been somebody trying to tell me, but I didn't listen because I didn't trust people. But then eventually when I was in enough pain, then I was ready to listen. Like, so now I've kind of realized that now I listen because I know better. Like, if somebody's been through something, I'm going to listen because they've been there. If they haven't been there, I'm not going to listen.
Right.
It's and someone just made a comment saying the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, like explaining yourself over and over again. But it's kind of like, as Black women or as Black people, when we're explaining things, it's always to different people. Like having this conversation with multiple people over and over. It's like, how many times can I do it?
Well, this is the thing. We have to direct our energy in the right direction. You can only show them better than you can tell them. So this is why I brought up the point about continuing to build your platform, continuing to build the brand that you are trying to build, and the rest shows itself. Like no one can take from me what I built. There's nothing to explain. If you know me, you know what that means.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Feats, what's up? Are you here? Did I put you on mute? My bad. Oh no. Are you here?
I see her.
I see her too.
Can you hear us?
I don't know if y'all talking to me because only person I could really hear is Tay. I really cannot hear anybody else.
We can't. No, I don't think anybody else can hear you. I can hear you though.
I can hear.
I can hear her. I can hear her.
I can't hear Q.
You can't hear me?
That's it. Log
I
out,
hear
log in
everybody
again.
else but Q.
You hear everybody but me? Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
But I just wanted to come on and just say really quick. I don't want to take up too much time, but I just wanted to shout out to everybody that's on the panel. Shout out to everybody that is coming through, giving their thoughts. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I do think this is a conversation we all need to have and hear everyone's perspective, Black, white, purple, brown. I think this is a conversation everyone can have something to say. There's some things we as Black people don't see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even as being a white person, there's some things people as white people definitely don't see being a Black person. So I think that there's the bridge that we both have a platform to speak on.
Right.
But I just think the misconception sometimes is not all the time people outside of Black speak from the best of places, because we're always speaking from a place of trying to just be included, of just trying to get general respect kind of across the board.
Yeah.
Whereas some white people, they don't recognize that because they have that respect in general. So they don't see just in their day-to-day where we're coming from. And that's, you know, nothing against them. But in a sense, I feel like some of them are willing to understand and hear us, where some are as soon as we say Black, they're like, well, what about us? And it's like, y'all are already out there. Like it's
not about
already
you.
about y'all. Like, it's okay. Like,
At all.
just because we say Black does not mean we're trying to take. We're just trying to be included. Like, even the Black Girl
Exactly.
Magic, even something like that, I refer to that as far as anything big. I congratulate my Black women too. I just always label it as, you know, Black Girl Magic. It's nothing to say that there can be no white girl magic, but it's just like, that's just something we have. And I feel like everything we have, they try to make it an inclusion, but they don't try to make their things an inclusion when it comes from us most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
And that's just it, the base of it. But I do think
I just wanted to address a comment. There's a comment in here that I thought was Brooklyn. Brooklyn had said, I can't even see the last comment. It disappeared. But it said something about, there it is right there. But
yeah, he said when black people stand up for themselves,
others say we're angry or bitter, but we literally watch themselves trying to act like they're in a culture we've created, even like slang. And I'm going to say, from a person that's not Black, I don't think people are angry or bitter. Like I was saying earlier, like, I don't, you know what? And you could be angry or bitter, fine. You know, I'm not a person to judge. I don't care where it's coming from. But what I can say is that I am in a culture that Black people created. Like, that's cool. I'm okay with somebody had to create it. You know what I'm saying? And I do have respect for that. Like, there's a lot of respect for that, because whoever started whatever, I have respect for, and that goes across the board. You know, but just because I may say that and I understand that doesn't mean that everybody else out there ever is going to.
Right.
And it's never going to be like that. There's never going to be 100% understanding, and there's never going to be 100% of people that are the way we should think they're going to be. It's never going to happen, you know, and that's the reality, is that for every good, there's going to be a bad. There always is.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And
so,
there's
like,
there's go ahead, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll pretty much just go ahead.
No, I'm about to say, before I slide out or anything, I have a question too. I look at it like you said too, because you brought up some good points. You know, you guys aren't bitter. Granted, you're not, but there are a lot of people of your race or color that are. So granted, you're not, and I think that's another big thing, because unfortunately, when it comes to, you know, white people, there are a lot that agree with us and try to understand, and there is a lot that does not. It's very divided when it comes to that side, and us, I guess, as Black people, we need to decipher, especially in personal conversations and private conversations, who we direct that energy to, because we could be directing negative energy to someone who is trying to understand, to someone who is trying to get a better understanding in a sense.
Yeah.
But we just
Yeah.
bundle everyone white into the, oh, they don't understand category. There's plenty that try to understand and do understand, and there's plenty that don't give a shit. But that's us to decipher when we're having those personal conversations, even publicly, for us to make sure that we're deciphering it correctly, because our message gets misconstrued and it gets construed as we're bitter, we're this, we're that. And all we're trying to do is just have a platform just like everyone else.
And that's
My
again, that's
question
what.
is,
Oh,
would
go ahead.
we have this same, I guess, outrage or upset kind of in a sense if Black people created what exactly? If more, let's just say, you know, if more white people kind of paid. My whole thing is that whole, you know, we created this culture and they have to respect our culture. What does that mean? Every time they post something, they have to say shout out to the Black community who created this.
No.
Like,
No.
I feel like
No,
they're
I don't think.
dragging
I don't think. I don't think it has.
That's not
I don't
what-
think it. I don't think it
They need
has.
to respect the culture.
I don't
Like,
think that's. I don't
what
think
does
that's.
that mean?
I don't think
'Cause I
that's the
feel
point
like
of.
Shell
Okay.
shouldn't have to
Let me.
post something and say, "Oh yeah," but shout out to
I'm sorry. I'm
No.
sorry, Feats. I had to put you on mute. But
That's
But,
go ahead, Q.
shit, I forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah, so in terms of the whole Black people, sorry, let me do something real quick. In terms of the whole Black people creating the culture thing, that's not something that said. Ooh, it's an echo. Oh my God, just talk, C's. Who was gonna talk?
Okay, so yeah, I was gonna say, okay, so sneaker culture got started by Black folk. Let's just get that straight, and Asians too. I want to say it was a combination of both. But here's the thing, and that's not to say that nobody else can participate, and y'all gotta like bend the knee, kiss the ring every time y'all make a post. This is what I'm saying. Like, people take it to this nth degree.
Another
Nobody's
level.
saying that. But if I'm gonna get into let's just say I get into martial arts, I have to acknowledge that this is an Asian art form. You know what I'm saying? Like, to come in there and just try to profit off of it. Like, and it's not act like there's no historical context to it. Anytime we create something, jazz, rock and roll, things of that nature, anytime we create something, it often gets pilfered and pillaged by people looking to profit from it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the point. Like, nobody's saying this can't be inclusive. Nobody's saying that everybody can be involved. Everybody should be able to buy sneakers and be a part of the culture. That's how it should be, but it should not come at the expense of what our importance to the culture was. You know what I'm saying? It should not come at our expense. That's what we're saying.
And it's the same thing as like, I was just saying this to somebody earlier. I think it was C's. I said, it's just like saying you know American history, but you don't know about slavery. Right?
Literally, it's like
literally,
it's like literally people buying, like, they bought these shoes, right? They went out and they bought all these shoes, and now they know sneaker history. And it's like, no, you don't. If you knew sneaker history, you would know, you know what I'm saying, where to point your respect at, who not to disrespect, what to do, if you knew the history and understood, like, why you love it. I don't love
Nobody's
it.
saying they own Black.
Right.
People be like,
and this is
not on ones, like, that's
and this is what I'm saying. Camp out. This is what I'm saying when I said that part. It doesn't mean that that others don't belong in the culture. Others can't share the culture. It's just history of culture. Again, I use the most. I would say I'll use the best analogy that we all could possibly understand. Like, again, if you do not know about slavery, you don't know about American history. So therefore, if you call yourself like the sneakerhead, they say sneakerheads know history. So as a sneakerhead that knows history, then you know where that comes from. It's not about ownership. It's just the history of the culture. It's just the history of the culture. That's it. That's very harmless to say.
Like, how can you create a culture? How can you go from a group that created a culture to a group that's underrepresented? That's the point. That's the point we're trying to make. It's like, like, nobody's saying we own sneaker culture. Nobody's saying that you need permission. Like, what are people hearing? Like, I don't understand people are hearing.
There's no permission.
Nobody's saying that. What we're saying is that this is how it started. And now we got to the point where that same group that started it is underrepresented. How do we get to that point?
And Charlotte, damn it. Charlotte damn, what's your name? Just talk.
What does respect look like? Respect looks like if I'm a big blog.
No. See, it's Charlotte Mar's.
Man, I'm about to. Woo.
Shut up. Talk. What are you gonna say? You need to say something? Go ahead.
Yo, no, I was just gonna say that, I've been in the chat hanging out and then watching and hearing what everybody's saying. But I feel like at the end of the day, once the topic was addressed and they talked to the girl or whatever the case may be, and like y'all said, she made those follow-on comments that further let everyone know that she was ignorant to the impact, of what she said had on people, that it's no help, it's no hope for her, you know what I'm saying? Because when she made the comment talking about, oh yeah, I slept with, black guys or whatever it may be, like that's ridiculous, you know what I'm saying? So that further should let whoever know, that she think that that's okay. You know what I'm saying? That's her way of accepting it. Whether she's foreign or she's American, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, she doesn't understand that she's ignorant, period. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, we done. I appreciate you. We done with that part of the conversation though.
No, I just want to speak on that.
Okay.
But moving forward.
Okay.
I also like to talk or just say, like, the whole, just because somebody's black and they look like you doesn't mean they support the cause of a struggle. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes people get in their feelings, if you will, or misconstrue that point as well.
Yeah.
Whether black or another color, you know what I'm saying? Not everybody is for the struggle, you know what I'm saying? So just understand that as well for, just for the other things. And just moving forward with the whole, like, inclusion, anything like that, just continue creating your own situation, whether it's a platform, whether it's, you like sneakers, you want to take pictures of them, post them, whatever, just continue, putting it out there and showing the love that you have for that. And people who feel the same way, they'll support it, eventually, you know what I'm saying, or not. But at the end of the day, still do what you love. Because at the end of the day, it's about what you love and not what everybody thinks is popular. And you just want to jump on the bandwagon and, be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Just do it because you love it, not because everybody else is going to have something to say about it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Q, can I get this hot take off?
Go ahead.
All right. Because people are like having trouble understanding the concept of paying respect and all this other stuff. And I'm not, once again, it's not saying that every minute or every day you post something, you gotta acknowledge black people. My point, and like I said before, is that we often start stuff, but then we often become marginalized because other groups come in looking to profit. And so, to give a personal example, when we started the podcast, people thought that we were the first ones to do it, and they was giving us all this credit. And I had to stop and tell people, no, OSD Live was the first ones to do it, right? Because I care about the culture, because I want to be remembered. So in order to be remembered, I got to remember the people that laid the groundwork for me. So at the end of every show, I would acknowledge OSD Live. Go check them out. They were the first ones. They was the ones to do it. And this is what I mean about, as far as if you care about the culture, you care about its history, and you care about all the things that make it great, how it began, how it got here. And so you look to always acknowledge those things. You look to keep your roots.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It goes deeper than knowing about the Shadow Ones. You know what I'm saying? It's like
exactly.
It's like with hip hop. You knew it grew up in the ghettos of Southside Bronx. Black and brown kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Black and brown.
So like I didn't have to kiss D Wells and Sean Pacheco Williams' hand or shout them out every single minute of the day, every time I posted anything. But when I got the opportunity, I'm like, yo, shout out to those guys. Because if I care about this space that we're trying to do, that we're trying to create in this podcast, sneaker podcast space, then I'm going to acknowledge them, you know what I'm saying, when I get the chance to. Especially when people are giving us the undue credit of being the first. And, so that's what I mean. So when you have entities like Complex coming in here, profiting, and they're promoting one group of people and ignoring another group, that's what we mean. It was like, yeah, we started this culture, but yeah, you promote this group? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the problem. And so I hope people understand what we're saying. It's not that we're trying to make this an all black thing. It's just, yo, can we be a part of the thing we created?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all we saying.
The ownership. You're not saying black people own it. It's black
No,
people
not at
that
all.
brought it to the forefront. But white
Facts.
people like myself got into it. I saw Michael Jordan playing basketball. I wanted
Right.
his shoes because I played basketball. I
Right.
would see R&B singers, rappers, hip hop artists in sneakers. I wanted to get what they were wearing. I didn't see other cultures wearing them because they weren't on the TV.
Right.
It was black people that got me into that
Right.
because of what I liked. So it's not an ownership like some people keep saying. I come from an area that's very white. We skate, we surf. I wore DCs and everything like that.
See, people, I'm looking at the comments right now, and it's like people think sneaker culture started in like 2006 or something.
The problem, they're thinking they're getting too caught up. They're getting too caught up in the created part.
The created thing. It's
That's
not.
Oh
not.
God.
we're
Okay,
not-
so semantics.
We brought a lot of white people into this culture.
We
We
don't own it. We
what
started.
black
It's where
people
it
were
came from.
wearing.
It's where it came from. Just know the history. That's all. Like we're not over here. Like you better say
Right.
black.
You know
people
what the
are
brand-
this.
Here's the thing. In terms of starting culture, what we mean by that is we didn't create sneakers, no. But in terms of it being popping and cool,
yeah,
that's us. That's us all day.
The same way.
That's it.
You know what the sad part is?
Let's use-
The
let's
sad
use
part is I
Rocky
can have a conversation with a group of white people at a brand and they will acknowledge this. And yet I gotta argue with people, you know what I'm saying? Like on this thread, like that's the part that's frustrating me. Like if I can get a 50-year-old white man in Beaverton to be like, yo, y'all started this shit, and then I gotta argue with somebody on Instagram. Like, I don't understand this shit.
I'm sorry, Ron Gusaran, you my big bro, but Run DMC is not Southeastern Asians. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry. Listen, I respect you, Ron, but no.
Like,
in fact, no.
you know
when
what?
Tinker
The whole
Hatfield.
sneaker wave started in the early
Wait,
80s.
wait. Before you talk here, and even after the Run DMC component of it, you can take it another notch when sneaker culture really started to take off. When Tinker designed the Jordan 3, I'm pretty sure there was a black man jumping around in that shit that made y'all go crazy. So
yeah.
Hold on. Let me say two things. Nike was thinking about canceling the Air Force One and the Air Max at a certain point. And the reason they didn't is because once black people got their hands on it and we made it a status symbol, it took off. So that's what I'm saying. So if you're gonna come in here and tell me we didn't start this, you better present some facts because I got some facts for you.
Right. But back to Shell though. Shell, continue.
No, I'm done. I'm good.
I'm sorry.
I think Kev was about to say something.
Okay, Kev.
I had something to say. I forgot who just said it because I can't see all the comments in there, but somebody had acknowledged that that it came from B-boys, and so I'm just saying, just to play the devil's advocate on this, like I don't believe. I think that black people did bring it to the spotlight. Like, but I also know from being in b-boying and all the other stuff, graffiti and all that stuff, that that was something that was already happening as a subculture before it was brought to pop culture, right? And so there might have been like the Asians and the things where it was a subculture before, but where people saw it in general as a pop culture thing was when, like you said, Run DMC happened, where Allen Iverson happened. Where did pop culture see it? Michael Jordan, that was pop culture. That's not a subculture. You know what I mean? Today, what I think just drives me fucking crazy, these other people that made it pop culture, they were fucking, what's the word? Not trendsetters, but they were like the OGs of the shit, right? Now, what makes me go nuts is the Travis Scotts and like somebody's talking about the Kylie Jenners and all this. That already has started. Like skateboarding shoes, those got popular because of skateboarders, not because of Kylie Jenner and Travis Scott White skateboarders did that, or whatever skateboarder was wearing that. It doesn't have to be white skateboarders. Any skateboarders wearing a shoe, that was a subculture. You know what I mean? And then they brought it to the pop culture. Like it's already, I think that's where skate shoes happen. But now Kylie Jenner, people are talking about if she's the queen right now, they're out of their mind. This has already been a thing. Like,
and I have a
it's
lot
not like
of
they-
white friends that come to me and they go, I want a pair of sneakers because I saw Kylie in them. I'm like, go away.
right,
I'm not gonna help
right,
you.
right. Like it's already happened.
Like it's just that easy.
There
get
was
the
already
shoe that Kylie
the
has on
hype
her
around
foot.
that happened in 2005.
And that's recent. Like,
Yeah, it ain't something that
Very
came out of
recent.
nowhere. This has already happened.
Yeah.
There wasn't like an out of a nowhere thing that, oh my God, skateboarding shoes are popular. No, they've been popular. Like 2005, it got really crazy. You know, I remember it got crazy here in 05, but it died off a little bit. But then she might have been, I mean, to say she might have been the person that brought him back into the mainstream people seeing skate shoes.
absolutely.
That could be, you know, she was the one that did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give her that. Even though I don't really respect her,
Mhm.
I'll give her that she did have millions of people see what she had on feet. I don't even know if she knew who they were, if she knew who MF Doom was.
Absolutely.
Can I-
But her
She
not.
don't
But her.
know.
But her
I'm just
taking
gonna
up-
say
but
she
if
don't
she was to
fucking
take
Can I-
Right.
responsibility for that.
Let me help people. Let me help people understand what
She
I'm
don't
saying.
know.
Let me help
She
people
might have got
understand.
him on and liked him.
Nike's, look at Nike. If you look at a run sheet of Nike's most popular shoes, like their top sellers, it's not the sneakers you would think. The most popular shoes are shit you'll see at Ross, JCPenney, like all these other places, right?
Mhm.
Those are the biggest sellers. But what gives Nike that street cred, what gives them that pop culture, like that status, are the Jordans, all the stuff that we buy. You know what I'm saying? That's why there is a sneakers app. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is why you got sneaker culture. This is why you got blogs. And you got the blogs, they're not posting about I mean, like I said, you can look, I can't name the shoes off the top of my head, but then they give you release dates to the Jordans. They give you release dates to the KDs, the LeBrons. They're not giving you the release dates to, like, if we're going to go off of their top selling shoe. So I want people to understand is when we say we created the culture is we made it a status symbol. We made it a status symbol. And that type of importance, look at the response to, I remember when a couple years ago, Jordan Brand said they were going to make a bunch of shoes. They were going to mass produce a lot of the shoes, right? They were outselling Adidas. They were outselling Yeezy. What happened? Because people started complaining about the shoes sitting, they pulled back. They started cutting down the production numbers. There's a thing called social value. So while it might not have monetary value, social value is just as important to these brands. This is why they limit a lot of these shoes. Like, think about it. You know why they don't mass release the Nike Mag? Because it has a certain level of social value as a limited shoe as it would if it was mass produced. You know how much money Nike could make if they mass produced the Nike Mag? You know, because they can do it right now. They can do it. They won't do it because, once again, it would take away from that shoe's status as far as how high is hell, because it's so limited. And if you got it, you know, I guess you just the bomb or whatever. But the point is, there's a such thing called social status, and that's what we gave the shoe.
And that social status was established from hip hop culture. Okay,
Hip-hop.
and that comes, and again, that stems from the black and brown folks. Some there were some Asians in there, but
Right.
predominantly black and brown people from the inner city in New York City who didn't have the resources, so they created their own shit, which derived hip hop, and sneakers just happened to come out of that. And that's just history. That's just history. But that's not ownership. Again, we didn't design any of this shit, you know, in terms of the initial stuff. We're not saying we created, we didn't say we sold the rubber and glued it together and all that other stuff. We're saying that you know it most because you saw us.
Yep.
Perfect example. White Anglo-Saxons founded America. that doesn't mean that white people own America, because America is more diverse than that,
Mhm.
right? We all live here. We're all citizens. We all have ownership of this country. But factually, it was white Europeans that came and founded this country. So that's, once again, it's understanding the context of what we're saying. Just because somebody says, "Hey, we started this," doesn't mean we own it and you can't be involved in it.
Right. And I mean, think about, like, going back to hip hop. Think about the success of NWA. It wasn't black people buying up all them records.
It
But we made them.
me.
We made
I bought 'em
exactly.
all.
We made. But yeah, see, Kev, see, we made the music though. We made
We
the
did.
music. We walked up and down the street with the shades and the Jerry curl and all that shit, talking about fuck the police, and the
hey,
white
I
kids
gotta
ate it
tell
up.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me tell you a story. So when I bought it, you're right. Listen, I was that kid, okay? So when I was like 8 or 9, right? When Straight Outta Compton came out. Or no, it was before that. It was 2 Live Crew, I think, before that. I was too young to remember exactly what happened first. My point was, though, I liked it. And nobody told me to like it. I just liked it, right?
Right.
And I went home 8 or 9 years old in a house full of white people bumping fucking 2 Live Crew. In Some Pussy is the place to be, right? And my parents looked at me like I was fucking crazy.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't care. And it felt, for me, I felt for that culture because it kind of felt like it made sense to me because I wasn't popular, and I was never, people never agreed with me. So I was like, I'm going to do things that I want to do, not what other people say I should do, you know, because there was no influencer at the time to tell me I was too young. You know, that didn't happen till my teens. I didn't start getting influenced really till later on by, you know, other things in hip hop. It was in hip hop that influenced me. But
Right.
It's just funny how, like, you know, today it's a little bit different, but I was looked at like a weirdo for listening to that shit. You know,
Right.
because my stepbrother listened to classic rock, my dad listened to jazz, you know, and then here's my crazy ass bumping this shit all fucking.
Exactly.
I loved it. I loved
Uh-huh.
But no, Q,
What up,
Q, you hit it on
wait,
the head, though.
Wait, C's, I'm gonna let Ron G talk real quick, and then you'll go right after, okay? Yeah. Go ahead, Ron.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
All right. This is what I mean. Have any of y'all ever been to Barcelona, Spain before, or Sydney, Australia, anywhere out the country?
I've been to
Japan?
Madrid. Yeah.
We got Shell over here right now. Let me bump on y'all out real quick. This is an Australian right here. Hey.
Well, I haven't been in the military, but I was involved in ministry, and I've been all over the world. I will tell you right now that even in the 80s, before the big Jordan snag, because considering Jordans used to sit in outlets. I'm 39, by the way. I'm about to show y'all some stuff. Q the Queen knows I have insane amounts of samples, look-see samples that I've never even showed. I got Seattle 11 look-see samples of the Jordan 11 I get all this stuff from Southeast Asia. I'm about to show y'all something that y'all have never seen before. Get ready.
Uh-oh.
You see this? Europe release of an air raid that never released in the US. It never released. Hold on. A sample of the 1992. A sample, the 1992 Olympic Jordans. Hold on. Carmine's, Nike Air on the back. Look at that. Hold on. All originals. Sample of the hairs, Southeast Asia. Hold on, we're not done. Samples. You see these? What are these? Your boy, the boxer, Jones.
Roy Jones Jr. Yeah. Roy Jones Jr.
Samples signed. Oh, you can't even get this. You see this in the back? You can't get any of this stuff.
Okay. Now you're just showing off. Now you're just showing off.
Well, it's for a reason. Hold on, it's for a reason. All this stuff, I'm just showing y'all all this I got. See all this? Y'all remember these when we were kids? The pattern is different from the US version. Before these shoes even hit the US, these Asian kids have these shoes They're more valuable. They look different than the U.S. and they always sell out. And guess what? The Asians keep their shoes. That's why I can't find any OG Jordans in the U.S. Now I have every single OG Jordan from 91 to 1993. Every one of them, even a lot of the samples. Every single one of those shoes came from Southeast Asia. Hold on, I'm gonna let you speak, my brother. Black people enhance the sneaker culture. They brought it up to levels unheard of. 100%. They do that with a lot of things. They do it with rap. They do it with a lot of culture.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't take credit for this. White boy skateboarders were wearing SBs when I was a little kid before I even knew what Michael Jordan was. Converse back in the 60s. Nikes was known as the throwaway shoe. Okay, why do you think I'm a sneakerhead? I had family members who were sneakerheads. The Converse was the name brand shoe. Nike wasn't even a shoe. Who do you think made Converse popular? The white boy skateboarders, man. The Asian skateboarders and some of the black skateboarders.
Yeah, we.
Can I respond?
Here's the thing.
Can I respond to this?
We acknowledge all of that, Ron. I think you missed our point. We acknowledge that.
Can I respond to it?
Go ahead.
All right. So one, Converse, actually Adidas and Converse were kind of going head to head, and that's back when it was pretty much those two. So I mean, they really had no competition. You had other smaller brands. You had Pro Flyers. You had
that's a lot.
Tonics. You had Puma. You had. I'm naming the things. Like, let me finish my point before you cut me up. I'm naming the brands. Converse.
That's a lie.
What now?
Nike was not with Converse. That's a lie. Nike was the throwaway shoe back in the 60s. I have proof.
I didn't argue that point. I said at that time, back in the day, there was Converse and Adidas going head to head for the most part of the 20th century.
Right.
Those are the two biggest brands. Nike was not a big brand when they first started.
And that's where we're going to end that part of the conversation.
Hold on. I ain't finished my point.
Oh, continue.
My point is, I said that it was basically between the blacks and the Asians that started the sneaker culture. In particular with the Air Maxes. Asians made the Air Maxes hot. But as somebody who has traveled, as somebody who has actually been to these brands and talked to the people that's actually designed these shoes, actually walked into their vaults and talked to the people that's involved with telling the history of these brands, they would be the first ones to tell you we started this. Now it did spread. It did spread, and like I said, like you mentioned the SBs. Yes, it was skateboarders that was wearing those shoes, but they were basically ruining those shoes. They wasn't actually collecting those shoes like that.
Exactly.
We actually make them status symbols. We actually make them fashionable.
Right, and that's the only point we're making, Ron. Nothing else, nothing more, nothing else. That's the only point we're making. We understand there are other contributions that came after. We get that. But we made it we made it poppin', and that's just what it is.
But there was contributions that were made.
Yes, we know that.
To us getting here. The thing is,
we know that.
But somebody in the comment section. Here's the deal: women are so underpaid in the United States. Black 100%. Women are like, hold on, let me explain myself. Black women are at the bottom of the chain of getting it harsh. They get it harsh before black men. I understand that. I'm a manager over the largest transportation facility in BR. I understand that. We treat our women with dignity and respect, but the majority of jobs don't. I get that. But in the sneaker world, if a girl on YouTube had every shoe I just showed and had the charisma and could edit videos, nobody would not care if she was a woman or a boy. That's my opinion. Because people want to see heat. Now I'm going to say this.
Okay. And this will be your last point.
Yeah, I'll hop out. But he wanted me to show him proof. But do y'all remember Tone Ho? Do y'all remember that dude from Nike got in trouble with all those samples? Q the Queen might know about it. I don't know what the history is. Okay, I was trading some of my LSU promotional samples with some of the guys that was working for Nike back in the days. That's why I have a lot of my other samples. I'm not supposed to show them because when they did that sting, all those people got arrested federally. Federal charges went about. I cannot show some of the samples I have, but I'm telling you, from talking to the people that worked on board, Laura Farrat, who signed these was for a Dora Becker patient who got sick before it did it. There's another signature on here named Christy Medic who did the Nike free runs. I have personally talked to these people before, and they are white. The white people created the majority of the shoes.
Exactly.
Who's
Okay,
disputing
okay,
it?
Ron, we're done.
Nobody
We're done.
disputed
We're
that.
done. We're done, brother. I appreciate you, but you going left.
Oh, that's not fair, but that's cool. That's
I
cool.
appreciate you. You going left.
All right.
I appreciate you though. Yeah.
Nobody
No.
said black people didn't create. We created the shoes. We
We
said
didn't. We
made
didn't
them.
create any of this shit.
We didn't. Nobody
create
said that. You
any- like,
making
what are we doing? All right.
that
So
was kind
here's,
of a moot point.
so here's the thing, guys. We only have 20 minutes max left. Okay, because we got another show coming up after this. The who has the heat sneaker battle. So are there any other points we want to make outside of this? One thing that we did conclude, if everybody's on the same page here, we're not saying we didn't create nothing. We're not saying any of that shit. Okay, we didn't create it. We didn't sew it up. We didn't put it on the assembly line and get it out to y'all. We saying we picked that shit up, laced that shit up, or not. We may have pulled our shoestrings out completely, let our tongues hang, walk up and down the pavement like, what up? And that shit look good.
You know what?
Right?
And I'm gonna say this too. I'm gonna say this too, that I remember from playing sports, right? Because that's what I've always done. Is I've been an athlete since I was a kid, right? And who made shit look fresh to me? Black people. When I looked at, that's when before, I swear to God, white kids weren't fucking doing it. They weren't. I didn't like
No.
that.
Why is this an argument?
You did make it cool to me, and I can only say for me. I can't say for everybody though, right? The kids on my basketball team, the football team, they're always wearing something, and they taught me how to match my clothes. They taught me how to rock my kicks. They taught me how to, before you had low cut socks, they taught me how to pull your big high cut socks and roll them, pull them down and fold them over so they be low cut socks, like all that shit.
Yeah.
So I could say that's who started it for me.
Mm-hmm. And
White
Kixie
kids weren't doing that.
Right.
White kids were wearing a lot of Vans and a lot of skate shoes because they were
Right.
doing all that. But
And
anyway.
Kixie brought up the point, the hoods of the USA birthed this culture, and that's what we're saying. That's it. That's all. Like that's black and brown people, a splash of Asian. You might have like a 0.1% white, you know what I'm saying? But ultimately, predominantly you're seeing people of melanated skin. And the most predominantly folks that made it like cool that you saw on the screens, that you heard on the radio, that you saw bouncing the ball up and down the fucking hardwood, who they look like?
And that was Larry Bird.
Oh no! Hey, listen, hey, Larry Bird is my guy. That's my guy. I can't even front. That's my
It
guy.
was Kurt Rambis.
Hey,
Kurt
but
Rambis
Larry,
started this shit.
but Larry Bird was shaped like a plumber though. I ain't gonna front. I ain't
Wow.
gonna
Kurt Rambis
Wow.
made me want to wear eye goggles. No, I never
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so ultimately, guys, and Dee Dee said it perfectly. I mean, we got to figure out a time to do this again and touch on maybe some other things, because I already knew that complex diversity thing was going to take up the whole time. Like, there's no way we'd be able to cover so many things in one time. So, but I think we've come to great conclusions here. We've had some apologies. Some of y'all missed it. We had some apologies go down. People were accountable for things that they had done. In terms of how they address certain situations, it was a damn good discussion. Like, and for anybody that doubted that we could do it and come out of this laughing and joking, shame on you. Shame on you.
Shame on you.
So that's all I'm gonna say. But ultimately, this is what we're trying to do going forward. If we have an issue with somebody, it's not about putting them on blast. Like, just go to them directly. Figure it out together, period. Figure it out together, and you guys figure out how to come to a resolve. That's not me trying to say you shouldn't feel a certain way. It's saying feel that way, but let that person know that you feel that way, and y'all talk it out. I shouldn't know that that's happening.
Right. Hey, can I shoot my shot real quick?
Go ahead.
I love you, Kixie Jixie. I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to say I love you. That was it. That was my shot.
There you go. We all love Kixie. We appreciate you. You was kicking gems in there. You know what I'm saying? You was kind of like our hype man out there. We appreciate you. But yeah, man. Do you guys have anything to follow up with that you want to? Nothing.
No.
Okay. But yeah, like I said,
Somebody said Bill Lambier is their favorite player.
listen, Bill was a dog. All right, he was a dog.
Hey,
He was not afraid. But
hey,
No.
hey, what's Kixie comment? What who's trying to create sensationalism? Us?
who
Is
said
that she talking about us?
Who said it? Oh shit.
Kixie.
They doing
Look at this comment.
what
I
they
think
want.
she commented about Complex before.
Yeah, it's complex she's talking about.
Oh, okay. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
I just said I love you, and that's how you gonna treat me?
But no, but yeah, let's be better with communicating to each other. Let's make sure that we are again cultivating community. Again, we talked about building platforms. We all have things we can bring, right? And we can swap those ideas out together. Don't have your ego be so big that you can't ask a person a question. You know, how did you create your YouTube channel? I have the answers for that. Don't be afraid to ask it. How do you do this, that, and the third in your video? I have the answers to that.
You tell them you're a legend. You tell them because I'm a legend.
Like, come on now. We have resources all around us. Everybody, even if that's just history. You can go to Kixie. You want a little bit of background, some information on some history. Hit up Kixie. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all have things we can bring to the table, but we have to be present. We have to be present. Don't come into situations with negative energy, automatically thinking, "Oh, there's no way we could possibly come together," and it not be negative. We proved you completely wrong. We proved you wrong, and I'm happy about it. And God bless everybody. And I hope we can get to a better place. This is just the start. This is just the start, man. Let's
you let me go eat now?
Yeah. Let's build some. Listen, I'm about look. It's cheat day. I'm sacrificing my snacks so I can talk to y'all.
This Whopper been sitting here this whole time.
But yeah, like I said, I appreciate everybody. Who has the heat is right after this in about 18 minutes. If you guys want to check out a sneaker battle tonight, that's on 313 Retro Queens YouTube channel. Right after that, we'll be doing the sneaker battle recap. That's on Rep Milwaukee 414's YouTube channel, which I'm on the panel for that. So if you guys want to continue tonight, listen, we partying. If y'all trying to be a part of the party, catch us if you can, huh? I appreciate everybody in the chat, everybody on the panel. Word, you got anything you want to say?
Mature Kids tomorrow at 7. We're gonna try to bring some fun back to it. You know what I mean? We're gonna have Shell on again, get a little bit more into Australian sneaker culture and all that good stuff, and just going forward, just trying to understand everybody's differences and be inclusive. I totally agree with the being inclusive. Like, there's no reason to separate. So, hopefully there's just some good things, and more people do good things like this. Like, Q did this event, and hopefully more people spark it, because a lot of people have platforms. So anyone can do it, you know what I'm saying? Anyone. Like, start that hashtag. If you use it, I'll use it. You know what I'm saying? Somebody has to start it. Absolutely. And again, this was just to start the conversation. It was to show us what the possibilities could be. And we know we can come out of this with wider eyes, wider minds. And hey, let's put some plans together, baby. Y'all have a good night. Any thoughts, conclusions? What's up? What we got? Y'all good? We good?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our text.
Appreciate C's, appreciate Kev, appreciate Tay.
Can I say one more thing?
Everybody.
Can I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
Let me say one more thing.
You in the comments too.
What?
I love you, Bree. I just want to put that out there. I love you, Bree. BG Kicks. I love you.
Absolutely. Listen, that's my girl right there. She didn't want to come on, but she was in that chat, and I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody in the chat. Y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all over on 313 Retro Queens channel.
Yep.
Peace.